Good morning, everybody. A slightly strange opening for Safari Live this morning, but never mind, technical glitches and notwithstanding, we have a potentially enormous crossing in the offing here at one of the very steep crossings in the southern parts of the Masai Mara. My name is James Henry. Batman is on camera. Batman has become entirely nocturnal. We spent the night out last night, didn't we, Batters? Batters slept for precisely 29 minutes. Poor old Batters. I had quite a nice sleep, actually. That's, of course, because I'm half the size of Batman. Right, so here we are on this crossing, and hopefully those two vehicles are going to move fairly soon. They're putting out a virtual reality camera. I don't think the Wildebeest are going to cross while they're there, but they certainly look like they could come across here. If you are watching this for the first time, we are coming to you live. Yes, that's what I said. Completely live from the Masai Mara in southwestern Kenya, 370,000 acres of wilderness wonderland. We'll be joined by Taylor McCurdy, who's the other side of the river. She, I don't think, will be crossing like the Wildebeest. And also Byron Sarau, all the way down in the Sabi sand of South Africa, which is part of the greater Kruger National Park. All in all, we are, well, not quite exploring, but certainly in the midst of more than 5 million hectares of wilderness, including the Kruger and the Mara Serengeti ecosystem, which I think is quite nice. Now what we're going to do is send you up into that balloon over there. You see that balloon over there, Craig? Because it's roughly underneath that balloon that you are going to find the figure of Taylor McCurdy.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well today. That is the scariest looking crocodile I've ever seen in my entire life. It actually made me nervous and was contemplating why I decided to have a nap against the Mara River. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is David. No new nicknames for him. And of course, this is live and interactive, as James has already told you. So just remember, you can, of course, hashtag Safari Live, and you can chat to us on the YouTube chat. Now, we've been bumbling about for most of the night, and it's been quite beautiful, and we decided to have a quick half an hour siesta against the Mara River so I could hear the dawn chorus, and let me tell you, it was far superior to anything I've ever heard in the Sabi sand. It was unbelievable with the variety of birds that were calling, but I'll tell you a little bit about that later. We're going to go searching for lions, and I'm going to send you across to Byron, who is wiping the sleep out of his eyes, giving a big stretch, possibly a yawn. Let's go across to him.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a very chilly Djuma. And we've just got going, and we'll have a look at this beautiful eagle we've just managed to find. A brown snake eagle perched high up at the top of the tree. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. It's a martial eagle. I'm so silly. I saw the back and it perched high up. It's a martial eagle. Now this is wonderful. This is one of this is my favorite bird, actually. I feel terrible for calling it a brown snake eagle. I just saw that head raised up in the back, the brown back. But this is a martial eagle, beautifully deep set eyes. You can see. Hopefully we'll keep wonderfully white with brown specks down it. I have not seen a martial eagle for ages. There it goes. Wow, it's beautiful. There you can see that white on the belly very clearly now. That was a great surprise. Let's see where it goes. Just going off there. But that was wonderful. Well, good morning. My name is Byron, and on camera with me is Sebastian this morning again. It's a cold morning on Djuma. As I said, it's about 14 degrees Celsius, about 50, 55, 56 Fahrenheit. We've just got going. We've been driving around trying to see if we can find any tracks of predators. Now, what I'm doing is I'm actually going into that area where we last had that lioness and her den with the little cubs from the Angama pride. I'm going to see if we can find fresh tracks around there, maybe even find this lioness and see the cubs. That would be wonderful. So that's what we're going to try to do this morning. Try to find any sign of lions. Unfortunately for us, they've been on the neighboring property for quite a while, on Buffelshoek, north of us. So we haven't been able to see them. I see there's a lot of hyena tracks up and down the road here. And thank you again, everyone, for all the lovely messages and about the birding challenge that we did. It was a lot of fun, and we completed it yesterday. We got 100 birds. So that was a lot of fun, and I hope you all enjoyed it. 100 birds on camera. Alright, so I'm going to go and have a look now and see if we can't find tracks of this lioness or any predator tracks. But let's go across to James, who's got some predators in the water waiting for wildebeest to cross.
Now, I forgot to say to you before I continue with my story here, of course, you may talk to us, #Safari Live. You're encouraged to do that. It's on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the chat stream on YouTube. And I must also say that I congratulate Byron heartily on the completion of his 100 bird challenge. I think he achieved the last 15 in a, well, pretty quick order, actually. So well done to him. And may we never hear about it again. Good. Okay. Okay, I must say he's made that very entertaining for a very long time. Good for him. We are waiting for these things to cross. I'm afraid, however, that they are milling around and thinking about it, but there are still there's a group of people setting up a virtual reality rig that is obviously taking them rather longer to set up than they expected. In fact, it's my humble opinion that the entire development of the first personal computer took less time than it has taken them to set up their camera. Anyway, I think once they've done that, it looks like there's some action now, they might be moving off, then I think we will have perhaps a crossing. I've never seen a crossing at one of these very steep crossings, so it really could be quite interesting indeed. That's not necessarily because I haven't seen it, but I think it would be interesting regardless. Yeah, Dusa, this is one of the great mysteries of this whole migration story, is why the animals choose to cross where they do and why it is that they cross at all in many of the times that they do. And the answer here is, I think it's unclear. The banks here are very steep, and I guess they're just less steep, and there actually are paths as opposed to cliffs down to the water in this part of the river that there aren't in some other parts of the river. Up in the northern parts of the Triangle and the Masai Mara National Reserve, there are much better crossing points. They are shallow, and that allows the wildebeest to kick off the ground. The banks are not very steep, and so those are better crossings. But you see, if they want to get to the other side down in the south here, they've got to pick a place where they can get through, and this seems to be a pretty good one. So that's what's going on here. Oh, I'm most pleased to tell you that I can hear the starting of engines of those other cars, so they will hopefully disappear. So, I mean, you will see those pictures of the wildebeest crossing the Mara in the Serengeti, and of course the Grumeti in the Serengeti as well. And the banks are very steep in many respects. In many places is what I meant there. And I think it's just because at the points where they want to cross, those happen to be the best spots. But they are traditional crossing points that people know about, and of course the animals know about extremely. They're extremely familiar with them, and they've been crossing them for years and years and years. Right, let's see what happens now. They seem to be milling back towards the crossing. Justin, you say maybe the wildebeest are just thrill seekers. Justin, I've looked long and hard into the eyes of a wildebeest, and I'm afraid thrill seeker has been the very last thing I've ever thought about when considering the attitude of a wildebeest. I don't think that thrill seeking is necessarily their thing at all. But I might be wrong, Justin. As I've said before, the expression on the wildebeest's face is very difficult to read, and so maybe they are in fact thrill-seeking with that slightly gormless, downtrodden, morose look that they give you every time they open their doe eyes towards you. And Patty, you said, do the crocodiles kill just to kill, or do they kill to eat? A bit of both. Patty, the crocodiles, of course, will eat anything that they kill, because anything that rots quietly in the river, they will eventually feed on. So, I mean, they kill to eat and also to just to kill. Now, when I say just to kill, remember we've seen all the lions, of course, doing that killing and not eating. I think the instinct to kill is very much the same in the crocodiles, and sometimes they don't know why they kill, so they have the opportunity to make a kill, and they're not necessarily hungry, so they don't necessarily want to eat. And I think it's an interesting, we had a very interesting discussion about it the other day, about fun, and whether or not animals actually find it fun to kill. And what fun actually is. Does it give enjoyment? And I think it does. I think it is driven by a sense of enjoyment. In a way. Now, that enjoyment, of course, is an adaptation to making an animal kill to eat, in the same way that, well, not to put too fine a point on it, as I didn't last time, that reproduction, for example, for human beings is fun. And not necessarily, we don't necessarily think about the furthering of our genetic line when we are in flagrante delicto, as it were. While we wait for them, we do have a fish eagle across the way there, Krugers. You see it there? It is also waiting for a crossing, perhaps hoping they'll stomp on a catfish or two, as it'll then be able to scavenge out of the bottom of the river. And we also had a few marabou storks flying over this area, also possibly hopeful of some sort of carcass as a result of the crossing. There we go, there's a marabou. He, of course, can just fly over, he doesn't need to cross. And there's a woolly-necked stork next to him. It's quite fun. So what I think we'll do is we'll probably sit here for another, I don't know, half an hour or so and see what they do. If they don't cross by then, I think we must go in search of something else. But I would so love to see a crossing here. We can't get closer to the water because, like I said, as with those other vehicles, I think we'll stop the Wildebeest crossing. Now, I'm having a bit of a movement now towards the river. Now, this kind of democratic, what shall we say, democratic decision-making process, which takes an interminable amount of time, it seems to go on and on and on. So let's see what happens here. In the meantime, Byron, he of the birds, is searching for little lion cubbies at the moment, and hopefully he will find them, and we will be back with the wildebeest as soon as they decide to cross.
Now, unfortunately, no sign of tracks of that lion just yet, or that lioness, but there appear to be leopard tracks along the road here. Let's just have a look. Let me try to see if we can show you. Seb, is that okay? Over there. Actually, let me jump off and circle them and show you. Have a look at this. These might be... Is that okay? Oh, almost fell over. There we go. Leopard tracks walking along here. Looks like a female, judging by the size of the track. Not as wide, not as round as a male. So it looks like a female leopard that's walked along here. That one or this one. There. There's a nice clear one, there we go. You can see this is the back pad. You can see that clearly over there. The 1, 2, 3 lobes. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes of the leopard. You can see that. But judging by the size of that back pad, it looks like it's a female track heading in this direction. This looks like from outside. quite some time. We'll keep our eyes peeled, maybe. Let's just have a look here. Now, the tracks already disappear here. I wonder... Hang on. It looks like maybe she crossed over this way. Let's just have a look here, everyone, while I'm on foot. It's a bit easier to see the tracks. Here we go. Her tracks are here. And she's continued along the road this way. Can you still hear me, Seb? Is that okay? She's headed in this direction. We'll check carefully around here. As I said, we're looking for any sign of predators this morning. But you see, it is a lot easier to see the tracks when you're either sitting on the front of the vehicle like the trackers do, or if you're walking around. Alright, so let's see if we can get any sign of this female leopard. It's headed off through quite a thick area, but let's keep checking there, Seb. It looks like still walked. I think she's crossed into this thicker area over here. Now, we didn't have any luck with those lioness tracks around the den site, well, what we think is the den site. We also don't know if she's possibly moved them. Not sure. I'm just going to keep looking. The tracks are back here again. She's come back this side of the road. It's interesting. She walked backwards and forwards, but they're now back on this side of the road. Oh, this road's a bit bumpy here. Liz, thank you very much. You say we deserve a leopard as a reward for our bird challenge. No, James was saying let's hope we don't hear about it again. I think James was just jealous he wasn't here for the fun. I think that's actually it. Must be.
Right, everybody, there's been a great conflagration of action, a great sort of gathering of minds, if you like. There's been a lot of as a whole nother crew arrived, and I thought maybe they were going to leap into the water, take the plunge, as it were, and now everything seems to have calmed down again. I'm sorry about that. Let's just keep watching for a little while. Certainly tension seems to be mounting on the banks there. We're not the only people filming here. There's a crew from, I think, the Big Cat Diary bunch that around here as well, hoping for a crossing. So everybody is waiting with bated breath. Everybody could be disappointed, of course. Let's hope that we will not be. This is quite a nice crossing from a Wildebeest point of view, because it's not very rocky, but also we can't be too close to the water, which means that they can concentrate on their crossing rather than worrying about bashing into cars the other side, which I sometimes think they do worry about from time to time. Not necessarily bashing into people, but certainly they are distracted by the number of vehicles that come to watch them cross. There comes a little groundswell of support for some sort of crossing there on the sort of far right-hand side. The chorus of groaning is carrying on. One or two young males in the middle of the herd taking their chances with the ladies. It's very inopportune. There's one coming, thinking about it. Go left a bit there, Krugers. Left to left to left to left. Keep going. And there. You're on him now. Center screen. Come on, brave, stout fellow, get in the water. It's not that cold. Be nice, actually. Wake you up a bit. Mary Kay, you want to know how many I think are in this herd. Mary Kay, I think that, it's really difficult to say. I'm going to go with 2,000 or 3,000, I think. could be less than that. I don't think it's more than that. Here comes one brave fellow. Come on. And his friends. Yes. A small groundswell of support. And he's heading out onto a peninsula, though. He's not going down into one of the gullies. Brr, he says. Brr, brr, brr. So, Jake, you're wondering what would start a crossing now, short of pushing them into the water. Certainly pushing one or two in may encourage a crossing. I don't think there's a person in the world who can tell you what would trigger a crossing here. I think there is some sort of democratic groundswell of support for it. One or two go down, 2 or 3, 4 more go, well, that's not a bad idea. Then suddenly they've got 16 pressing behind them, and then everybody decides, yeah, okay, let's go. But when that happens, at what point that happens, is almost impossible to say. It is really interesting to watch. They're there. There's a whole lot now moving away. They can move away, stop, sleep, come back, get up, get down. This happens continually. And it's a little bit like our fearless leader has described the sort of goal behind some of our social media broadcasts, and that of course is to replicate that watermelon. I don't know if you know about the watermelon thing, but basically there was a live Facebook stream where they had a watermelon and people putting elastic bands around it, and it went on for something stupid like 3 hours. And by the end of those 3 hours, everybody knew what was going to happen. The watermelon was eventually going to explode. But by the end of that 3 hours, some astonishing number of, say, hundreds of thousands of people were watching just to watch this watermelon eventually explode. Now, we are not doing a watermelon thing here, but the reason we do sit and wait for this to happen, of course, is that sense that something really special, something really exciting could happen. It might not, but it could. And then, Craig, if you go all the way across to the right, just over the... Can you see on the horizon there? There's a huge long line of wildebeest coming down towards the south again. There they come. Look at that. They're all coming towards this area too. Whether or not they'll reach here or not, I don't know. No, they're not. So, Jake, you say, are the wildebeest breeding at this time? No, the breeding takes place in May. That's when the mating takes place. So all of the females that are going to give birth, bar 1 or 2 very strange anomalies, are already pregnant. Now, there's a groundswell of movement away from the river. There we go. It's interesting. Now, this happens from time to time. Now it's stopped. Now it could easily start again. Then it could turn around again. I'll be very interested to see whether when this line of wildebeest gets down here. Justin, you want to know how a wildebeest passes his or her vote? Well, it's a sort of secret ballot thing, really. You go behind a tree and cast your vote, and then there are a number of election officials in the wildebeest herd that will then count up what you've scratched on the tree, and that's basically how it happens. Justin, I've got no idea. I think it is so higgledy-piggledy. I think it's so random. I think the choice to cross is so up in the air, and it certainly would, that sort of unpredictability of it suggests that the reasoning behind it, the variables behind their crossing, are not really very well understood by us at all. Not another group moving away now. Same group. Some turned round and come back this way. Now, I mean, this could go on for hours. It's not necessarily going to end today, even. Now, there's a long line now moving away, but they're moving straight in towards another line that is coming down. And still they stream over there it is, they're just meeting up now. Hey, look at that. Look at this. This is amazing. Now they're turning round. Gosh, that is phenomenal. Alrighty, we're going to head across to Byron now. Apparently he is still looking for signs of a leopard. I'm going to stay right here watching these wildebeest and see if they don't eventually decide to take the plunge into the river.
Now, unfortunately, it looks as if the tracks that we had of that female leopard, I think they've possibly moved onto Arethusa, so we won't be able to follow those anymore. Walked along the main road for quite some time, but I think those tracks are from last night. Just judging and having a look at them, I think they're from last night. But we're going to continue looking for any sign of predator. I'm hoping to find lions or leopard this morning. That's what our goal is. It's a very cool, fresh morning, quite chilly actually. But beautiful, clear skies. Let's head back. Maybe head along here, Seb. Alright, well, James is being very patient this morning. He's waiting for those wildebeest to cross. I hope he gets to see them. Let's go and have a look and see if they're any closer to crossing that river.
I think they are. This group has now arrived. Look at this big group arriving from behind there, and maybe this will provide the impetus to make them get in the water. Huge group arriving. Those are the thousands that we saw coming over the hill there. I can still see them streaming over that ridge, coming down towards the river, and they've certainly got a lot closer. There's a lot more activity in the front of the group. It is so funny how unpredictable it is. A couple there thinking about it, their little white beards shining in the sun. Perhaps some young bulls trying to impress the ladies with risk behavior. Of course, is what we as a species do all the time. Come on, chaps, in you get. The day ain't getting any younger. Come on. And I wonder how many predators there must be watching this thing. And as far as I know, the Paradise Pride is the only pride that I know of that will wait actively for these crossings. It will go and sit at traditional crossing points and wait for animals to come towards them. Oh, there's a huge groundswell now to the right. Look at this. They're all coming in. One coming down now to the left there. The same shiny white bearded two. It's almost like those are the marshals of the vanguard. One is thinks of old William Wallace riding up and down the line of the Scots before Bannockburn. I don't know if anybody else has made the thought of that. I think it's probably just me. Now we are going to just sit with this for a while because I think it's possible there's some zebra coming down too. I think that if we do have a crossing there. Let's go live, Alice. No, they're coming out of the river again. Did you see those chaps going down and then coming out? Almost had it. Eee, this is going to be huge if it happens. We got one coming down. Okay, let's go. Let's go live, Alice. We're just going to go to Facebook, everybody. Here they go. Oh, wow, look. Come on. Hello, everybody on Facebook. Welcome to our new audience on watching live streams on various platforms. Actually, we've just come across an enormous group of wildebeest. We've been waiting with them for about an hour now, and here they've started crossing the Mara River. We can't go down to the river because we will get in their way, and that will stop them crossing. But now the first front runners, the first brave ones, have taken the plunge into the water, and we'll see if they inspire the rest of them to come. I think that there are over 10,000 wildebeest in this area now. We had started with about 3,000. Thousands more have been streaming in from the northeast, and now they're finally taking the plunge. Isn't this exciting? Ooh, here we go. Here they go. They're starting to mass now. Oh, down they come. Now we might be able to move a little bit closer. Apparently there's a huge amount of racing of cars now. We can probably get a bit closer because the crossing has actually begun. I didn't know this sort of thing happened. So what we're going to try and do is get to a position where we can actually see them in the water. This is a bit like, well, this is quite astounding actually. I had no idea that this happened. A great racing of vehicles. Craigers, tell me when you've got a shot. They're coming straight up towards us. Here they come. Is that all right, Craig? Look at this. Well done, chaps. Brilliant stuff. Well done. I'm not going to... How very, very wonderful.
Hello everybody, sorry about that. I'm not sure the gremlins have got us this morning, but I'm about to show you a leon, a big leon that has just given a young leon a hiding. We heard some roars. We were actually looking at zebra, and I had been hearing roars for most of the night, and that was my plan, to try and follow up on, can you see him? He's just, see that little rise? Yeah, he's in there. There we go. There he is. You can just see his mane through the long grass. So we heard lots and lots of roaring, and I was desperate to come and follow up on it, but obviously at first light, and as we turned around, once we heard the roars of a very unhappy big male lion, we saw a youngster running away, and he's disappeared onto an airstrip near Serena. I don't know what this boy is doing in there now, but it's very difficult to see. Of course, he's completely camouflaged in that long grass. And this is an non-off-roading area, so we have to view from the road. We're not too far away from him. I reckon if he just, maybe he turns around and comes back this way, then we'll see him. It opens up slightly. I wonder if he's grooming himself or if he's eating. You can just see his head sort of moving around quite a bit, but this is the biggest male lion I've seen so far. I can't tell you who it is just yet. Virtually impossible. If you can identify that lion by its mane, I'll be very, very impressed. And I'm hoping it's going to be Scar or someone along those lines. Remember, I said I want to see Scarface. He is on my list of lions to see. And of course, he is an iconic character of the Mara Triangle. What are you doing? I don't have no idea what he's doing. If he is maybe eating something. It's a tough one. There we go. Oh, wow. Yes, is it Scar? Yes, it is. Woohoo! My first. That's so cool. Look how beautiful he is. He is absolutely magnificent. Look at all that mane. Oh, there's another lion roaring. There's another male roaring down towards the river. And apparently, OD Farming, you were hoping that it was Scar. Well, there we go. How exciting is that? I think he might be eating something. I don't know. This behavior that he's doing now, to me, seems like he's chewing on something in the grass that we just aren't able to see, unfortunately. You silly lion. Come out so I can see how beautiful you are. That is a spectacular spectacular lion. I don't think I've ever seen anything with, or any male lion with such a mane before. My goodness, he puts my hair to shame. I always thought I had a mane. Well, there we go. I've finally been outdone by a lion, and I feel privileged that it is, of course, one of the most amazing lions to ever exist out here in the Mara Triangle. But what we will do is we'll probably try and take the next road that goes down towards the river. I'm not sure how much signal we have, and we'll see who the other lion that is roaring. We also had, I must tell you, I've got so much to recap while we stare at him bobbing up and down in the long grass, is we had 2 lionesses as well, and unfortunately the gremlins kept attacking us. They're not too far away from here. I think I had them last night, but we couldn't follow them because it was a non-off-roading area, so I ended up leaving them be, but they're still about this morning, hanging around, so maybe they'll head down towards the crossings. They're not too far away from some of those crossings. That's if, of course, the wildebeest and zebra head that way. That is so cool. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, and I only just got to see a third of him as and not even facing us really. That is honestly the most magnificent lion I've ever seen. I'm going to come and drive around here more often because I need to have a proper sighting with him. Angeline, you say, what a legend. I think that's the perfect way to describe this boy. Wow, my heart is racing, and all he did was sit up in the grass. That's the kind of presence that this boy has, though. That is truly spectacular. Now, unfortunately, the Birmingham boys cannot compete with this magnificent creature. I love the Birmingham boys. They're great, and it's been fantastic watching them grow over the last year. They really have come into themselves now. But that is a big lion with a lot of mane and scars to prove it. I mean, Mfumo is our home. I was almost said our homeboy, and I thought, no, that's not a problem. He's not our homeboy, our home lion. And Sabi sad, and he's got a scar across his eye too. He's constantly battling it out between the other coalition members, and I'm sure he gets a hiding from the lionesses every now and then. But really, he cannot even compete with the presence of this boy. Wow, that is spectacular. I don't know what he's eating. I can't imagine it's very big. I wonder if maybe that young male lion didn't catch it. Maybe it's something small like a Thompson's gazelle or even an oribi or a young topi. Who knows? It's difficult to, of course, tell. Even a young wildebeest, but I don't see any other wildebeest around here, so that's why I'm thinking it's something that could potentially be on its own, and maybe he caught it, and perhaps the distress calls alerted these big male lions that live in this area of his presence, and he came charging in and took what was his. Now, the younger male that we saw running away that headed towards the airstrip, he actually had a slight limp, so I wonder if he didn't get a paw to some part of his body. He looked a little bit on the sore side, but a young, fit male lion, well, he'll be okay. It'll probably take him a couple of days, if not even by this afternoon, and I'm sure he will be good to go again. Now, I don't know if he's going to sit up again, so let's go around. Let's head towards the other river road and see if we can perhaps find the other culprit that's calling. I'm very excited about this little spot. I haven't driven around here before. This is fantastic. I love it here now. This is now my new home. This is where I'll be driving all the time. Sorry, David. All right. We're going to go head down that way and hopefully find some more lions. I'm going to send you across to Byron, who's bumbling around Djuma. Apparently, he's looking for something with spots. He's a good tracker. I'm sure he'll find that cat.
Well, we are just bumbling around at the moment, but this is nice. I'm driving around very, very slowly. I'm checking the tops of termite mounds because the sun is coming through at the moment. I'm hoping to find a leopard laying on a termite mound or in a tree somewhere, trying to catch those morning sun rays warming up. So looking very, very carefully. One of my friends was watching Safari Live all the way down in Australia. She gets her bush fix by watching Safari Live, and she sent me a message saying she can't believe She said it must be a very early morning for me because I got that martial eagle wrong. When I first glanced at it with its back towards us, I said, oh, it looks like a brown snake eagle. So she's very embarrassed now. Vicky, I'm sorry. She's very embarrassed that I said it's a brown snake eagle initially, and then had a look and thought, what am I saying? It's a martial eagle. But nevertheless, as I said, my friends give me a very hard time if I get something wrong. And even if I correct it very soon afterwards, they're very strict with me. They're very strict with me. Watch out, Seb. I'll just drive slowly into these branches here.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm driving along these little fire breaks. They're just on the edge of the main roads, but the thing is there won't be as many vehicles driving up and down here, so we should be able to see any tracks a lot clearer on here if they're crossing backwards and forwards. Now I did see a track. The light's a bit bad. Let me just jump off for a second. So what was that? It looks like a monkey track. That's what that is. Sometimes you see the prominent fingers sticking to the ground, and if you don't look carefully, sometimes they might look like a predator track if you look quickly. If you just see 4 toes in the ground. Shah, you say you've got your fingers crossed for a leopard? Well, thank you, Shah. I'm just listening to the radio now. There's some other guys. Oh wow, look at this. This is just, yeah, it's amazing. Is that okay? Step actually through this little gap there, maybe. Is that a bit better for you? Hold on a second, I'm going to jump out just to have a look at this. This is a community nest spider web. Let me see. Let me go around this side maybe. Let's see. Now this is amazing. This is a huge community nest spider web. You can see here. Now what it is a number of tiny little spiders that all live within this nest. It's I mean, it looks quite messy. A lot of foliage and that falls, gets built into the nest, very thick. But if something does land in the nest, let's see if anyone's home. If something does land in the nest, they pick up the vibrations and they'll come out to look for food. Seb, can you see? I don't know if you can see there. They are actually just at the tip of the stick. Can you see where the stick is? There's a few little spiders coming out there. There we go. They're all coming out. Let me see. There's a number of them. Yeah, they are all coming out. Little spiders, community nest spiders. Look at the tip of the stick here, Seb. There we go. There's one right there. Awesome. Now I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just on this side of the nest already that have come out to investigate. Over there. Can you see? I don't know if we'll see any more around here. Where? Tell me where. There. I can't see there. Sorry, Sepp, I can't get around or see there. It's a bit difficult. It's a tricky position there. But amazing to see that community nest spider web, how big it is, the amount of spiders in there. And they'll share food. So as soon as something lands in there, they pick up on the vibrations. And that's why they came out while I was just touching the edge of the nest with the stick. They'll come and investigate and see if it's potential prey, something to feed on. Still cold and still quite chilly this morning. Dear watcher, the spiders would most likely fight for food to an extent. Those little spiders will come out, and the first ones that get there will be able to feed. But that's just the way the community nest spider web works. Community nest spiders, they all come out, they all live in those nests, and they'll come and try and get a bit of the food, any insect that lands in there. I keep scanning these termite mounds, having a look around just to see if we can't find a leopard possibly laying on top of one. Trying to warm up in the sun. We are due some predators, I think, at the moment. I mean, we haven't had any luck with the lions for a while. Excuse me, sorry. It must be this cold weather. Let's just have a look. I think there might be a spider web, I think, just over here. Can't see, I can just see the where is it? It's
right there?
No, it's still like a little, unless it's a sun.
No, that's a sun flare.
Sun flare, okay. Hold on a second, I just want to get a update from Mike here. Oh dear. Mike for Byron. So I just want to chat to one of the other guides quickly. Mike for Byron. Okay, copy, thanks for, yeah, we don't really have Eastern Channel, I can't copy anyone on there, I'll try and move into that area though. Copy, thank you. Sounds like they might have had tracks or signs of a leopard on Chitwa this morning. Unfortunately, our radio doesn't, our Eastern Channel barely works. I might be able to get a scratchy hello, and that's about it. It's so tough sometimes. I don't understand the radios anyway. Hopefully we'll get an update from someone that can radio us on this channel. Maybe we have some luck with a leopard this morning. I was thinking of going down there because the two young copy, thank you very much, thank you. I'm going to make my way there. Well, it sounds like sounds like they've found this leopard. I'm not sure which leopard it is, but let's go and have a look. That's exciting. Chitwa. Really exciting. I'm glad. Now I was saying, we've had 2 young male leopards spending a lot of time on Chitwa, so just south of us, the young Hosanna, and also young Tumba. I don't know which leopard it is. I assume it might be one of them. So let's go and have a look and see. Apparently, the young male has been spending a lot of time in and around Chitwa camp. Oh, they've got to be very careful of that. Obviously, it is still a wild animal. It is a leopard. You don't want him getting too used to people or too comfortable in a camp. So it is something they need to watch. And I think what would happen is that coming out of the camp and being out of the camp, hear noise, whatever the case may be.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on this morning. The Crimsons seem to be, well, on form. We want them to be non-existent. Now, we've just done a big loop. Unfortunately, I don't know where that other male lion was calling from. He is nowhere to be seen. So, what we're going to do now is we've just done a massive detour. We're going to go back towards where we had Scarface. And hopefully he's finished his meal and he's come back out towards us. That's our plan, but we're very far off. I'm not going to stop too much. I'm going to just keep going because I don't want to miss him if he does come out. My opportunity to see him, and of course an opportunity to show you that lion too. We'll head there quite quickly and hopefully we'll be lucky and scan around. Keep going towards Scar. Let's go across Steph and the studio with the river cams.
Good morning and welcome to the river cams, everybody. My name is Stefan Tabur and we have got a beautifully clear morning. I mean, the last couple of days have been overcast and windy and blustery. This morning it just seems like everything is just perfect. Lovely temperature, no clouds in the sky, clear sunny day. It is promising to be a whopper of a day for crossings. You know, these clear hot days always tend to be the best. This morning we have got some action on Dusty. If we can go through there, we've just got a crocodile that is busy swimming up just past the camera, as you can see, and I have had one topi make an appearance at Main South, but nothing since then. Last night, there was some action when we said goodbye. There was some crocodile feeding on a rancid wildebeest carcass. And there was some elephant around. There was also some lion at Main South. And after we've watched this crocodile do what he's going to do, I wonder if this is the same crocodile. You know, there's a skull of a crocodile in the studio here, massive crocodile. And their brain isn't much bigger than a plum or an apricot. It's tiny. It's a small brain. Not that that means anything. Of course, spiders with no brain whatsoever can build the most intricate, fantastic webs using a myriad of different materials. You have birds that can build the most complex, weave the most complex nests that have brains many hundreds of times smaller than a crocodile. But it's not, we don't usually associate its intelligence with a crocodile for some reason. I'm not sure if it's just habit or whether or not there's some sort of underlying calmness about a crocodile that's sort of cool and calculating that we are dismissing just because it's got a small brain. Relative to its body size, that is. That's, of course, how we judge intelligence, is the brain weight to body mass ratio. And in that respect, a crocodile's got a pretty small brain, relatively speaking. Why don't we go and have a look at Main South? Oh, hang on. Let's see what this crocodile is going to do before we go anywhere. Looks like he's going to get out. Now, there's been a crocodile that has been living in this sort of cutout for 2 days now, and it looks about the same. Now, this is what makes crocodiles different to lizards. That exact gait that you can see, the fact that their pelvis is shaped a little bit differently, allowing them to actually lift their bodies off of the ground. So there you're looking at the main difference, or looked at the main difference between crocodiles and lizards. The fact that they can lift their entire bodies off of the ground and can even gallop for short distances. Can you believe it? Oh. The first time somebody told that to me, I thought I was being made the fool of. You know, we see cartoons of crocodiles galloping, but the cartoons actually have it pretty right, comparatively speaking. All right, this guy has now decided that this is where he's going to be, lying up in the sun over there. I don't think that he's going to move for quite some time. Why don't we go and have a look at Main South and see what has been going on there for the evening. Now, yesterday we had some lions on the far bank. They were lying up, members of the Paradise Pride, I'm assuming, were lying up next to those termite mounds. I haven't seen any evidence of anything. This morning there's a crocodile lying just at the entrance to that crossing. A very good place for a crocodile to be. If there are going to be crossings, we quite often see them coming down that slipway. Either coming down there or crossing to there. That is a good place for that crocodile to be. Let's take a quick scan. I haven't done this yet this morning, so this is sort of a daily routine for these cameras, or operating these cameras. It is having a quick scan of what's around and seeing what we can see. So you are part of what I'm busy doing at the moment, looking for anything that's sort of out of the ordinary. A stump in the water that looked pretty weird. Go a little bit wider. There's something there. No, all just the level of the water going down at the moment. So, although it is, there's a crocodile. Smaller than the one we were just with, but also sunning itself. All right, why don't we go and have a look at what Mr. Henry has been keeping himself busy with. It seems like he's left his crossing and is somewhere else.
Craig and I just had a life experience. Treated our very best to share with you. You got the beginning of our life experience. I've never seen a crossing like that. And mostly it was very cheerful. I didn't see one animal that drowned. There are a huge number of bodies building up at the Purungan Bridge in the far south of the reserve, but they didn't come from this crossing. Everyone seemed to get across, which was fantastic. There was one crocodile that I saw. He had his back to the whole crossing, so no one was taken by a crocodile. I'm sure there are the odd scratches and bruises, but everyone seemed to get through just fine. Tremendously exciting stuff, and I'm sorry that our gremlins managed to attack as the moment critique arrived, as it were. Anyway, that's just the way it goes out here. We are in a massive, massive area, and it's very difficult to broadcast, of course, from all places all the time. So with any luck, we will be able to sort that out within the next, I don't know, year or so. We're going to be here a long time, and hopefully we'll iron out these little troubles. Phew! I think what we're going to do now is try and go and see if we can find a predator and see if it's interacting with the herds that have just come across the river. They're heading sort of across this ridge around that way, and so that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to drive. You're going to drive with me very gently. I'm sorry about the noise of the engine. It tends to be a little bit louder on this vehicle than it does on some of the others. Oh, and there are the herds there. They've made it onto the plains. Now, why they're crossing again, you know, we've talked about this seemingly endlessly over the course of the migration season. But we've got there a whole lot of wildebeest there on the plains opposite us. But the grass to me looks much shorter, much less thick, and possibly less nutritious than the grass the other side. I don't know. I suppose they have had quite a lot of rain, and you know, a little while back, we'll just greet this Topi quite fondly. Hello, Topi. Nice to see you. Yes, you've got mud on your horns. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, and you seem to be chewing a grass stalk in the manner of Tom Sawyer. Yes, good. You having a nice morning? Yes, I'm sure you are. You're looking a little bit sort of glassy-eyed. Big night? Big Monday night, huh? Monday is a school night. All right, let's leave him. And they have had rain here, and I mean, the first time I came through this area, this grass that is very green all around us was very brown. There was sand in between it, and now it's flushed again. And so maybe that is why the wildebeest have come across here. I don't think they know about the grass. I think they know to follow the rain, though. And I wonder if nature hasn't conspired, and by that I mean evolution, of course. I wonder if there isn't some conspiring of nature to make it that the movement is totally random, so that the landscape and the animals in it feed in a sort of equal distribution or random distribution, and maybe that helps the landscape. But Alice, I'm afraid I missed your last communication. Alright, but I believe that Byron is now hot on the heels of a leopard, which is very exciting indeed. I'm now going to waffle at you for 10 seconds, because that's how long it takes to get across to dear Byron, who is in South Africa.
I'm just trying to listen to the radio quickly, everyone. Excuse me a second, I just want to try get an update from the guides that were in this area, if this leopard has crossed a boundary or where exactly they had it. Rexon for Byron. Rex, sorry, I'm just trying to get hold of someone from the Eastern Channel, just to find out the updates on that leopard sighting that they said they had on Chitwa. Okay, copy, thanks. We'll have a look around here, thank you. Okay, copy, we'll have a look around here, thanks. I don't think anyone's here, but sometimes there's updates. Let's just have a look around here. Sept, I think we're in the right area. Alright, so we'll see if we can find this leopard. Stick with us. I'm going to drive very carefully, so look for any tracks, perhaps. I'm not sure where this leopard would have gone. So I'm hoping that we can find something around here. I know all of you are excited about possibly seeing a leopard. Well, we're going to try our best to find one for you. Alright, I think I'm going to have a look around here very carefully. Why don't we go back across to James with the wildebeest?
So we've got in amongst the herd, and here they are. Look, some of them dripping wet still from their little morning swim, and they're enjoying themselves here, crossing the plains, going to find themselves some breakfast. There are going to be vehicles, I warn you, and they are just tourists who are enjoying very much the same things that we are enjoying together, taking their pictures and taking home memories that will last them hopefully for as long as their days last, and leave them slightly inspired. It's a kind of scene, this, that you want to think about when you're perhaps sitting in the traffic and feeling that life's getting you down a bit. To remember a scene like this across this iconic landscape, which, and I use that term a lot, but really, of all the quintessential African scenes that you could find, that surely has got to be one of them. Herds of wildebeest sweeping majestically across the plains, to quote Basil Fawlty to Mrs. Richards. If you don't get the reference, don't worry about it, that's very obscure. Maritza, you want to know where all of the giraffe are? Maritza, I don't know. I don't know where all the giraffe are. I couldn't begin to tell you where all of the giraffe are. I guess they're they're around. We did see some last night. We followed some. We got next to about 3 feet away from 2 little babies who were lying down. Where they are in amongst this lot, one thing I can tell you, Maritza, is that on account of the giraffe's height, it's highly unlikely that we'd miss them sitting here unless they were trying very hard to disguise themselves in amongst the wildebeest herd. But we will do our best to find you some giraffe during the course of the morning, Maritza. All right, our plan from now is going to be to head along this sort of ridge line and over across to the next one and see if we can't find some sort of predator that wants to eat a wildebeest or two. We did our level best last night. We wafted the spotlight around for hours on end, and eventually we gave up at about 11:45 yesterday evening. And we spent a wonderful night under the full moon. The rain cleared, the moon came out, and we had a, well, like I say, I had quite a nice little sleep, and poor old Craig only got about 15 seconds. Let's head across now to the, well, I was talking about iconic scenes and animals. Let's head across to one of the most iconic animals of the Mara, and I don't mean Taylor.
Oh, thanks, James. That's so sweet of you. Aren't you just such a gentleman? Now, we've got Scar just at the bottom of your screen. You'll see his beautiful big mane moving around. And I think that that's the young male that I was telling you all about, that you can see his head just popping out over the distance. It's difficult to tell because he didn't have much of a mane. But it would make sense that he wants to come back and try and get his kill. But I think this fella is clever. I think he knows that he is much smaller than this beautiful creature that we've got in front of us. And he's going to have to just deal with that. So he's sort of just watching in the distance. But you better be careful, because if Scar finishes his meal, he's going to chase him once again right away back towards the airstrip. But I thought that was quite cool. Now, I also tried to look for our lionesses that we had earlier, but they seem to have moved on too, so I don't know what's going on here. Like I said, there's been a lot of commotion in terms of roaring, a lot of vocalizing from these big cats, but what they're saying to one another is very, very difficult to understand, of course. I really just want to know what he's eating. I'm desperate to know. Now, Odie Farming, you're wondering if Scar has always been the king, and if he's sort of been... I don't know, sorry, I'm very tired this morning, so I can't even remember what you said, but basically you're wondering if Scar is still in reign and if he's always been the sort of a top line in this area. He was. As far as I'm aware, he's left the musketeer group, and I don't think he's a particularly dominant male anymore. I don't think he's been dominant for quite some time now. He's an older boy, and there are a lot of younger upstarts moving into the area now, but he's still got size and experience on his hands. So for a young fella like this that's standing with his head poking up in the grass, it really isn't much of a threat for Scar. So no, from what my understanding is that he's not in reign anymore. I'm actually not 100% certain who exactly he is. What I've started doing is every lion I see I've taken a photo of, and I'm going to try and figure out sort of which individuals we're constantly seeing, and because it's so tough out here. We see different lions in other lions' areas on a regular basis. I think I'm going to sneeze. I thought I was going to sneeze, but it seems to have disappeared now. Now, I think I see some Ascaris moving about at the moment. I wonder if they know that there's lions here, but the lions don't seem to be too bothered by them. They're quite a distance away. But there he sits very patiently. I'm convinced that it's an antelope of some sort. You know, maybe even a reedbuck. They like these open areas. They like to hide in the long grass. Could have been one of those. Thompson's gazelle would have completely disappeared in that long grass too. But he seems to be enjoying himself, and he's tucking into that meal. Brian, you said that the other lion is looking very sad. Well, he's just had his meal stolen from him. I'm sure that's what happened, because when I actually spotted Scar walking along the road very quickly, but as I came around the corner, he'd already ducked into the golden grass, and this fella was running away from him. So I think he knew to drop his kill. Like I said, I think there may have been an altercation of some sort, because he was limping just a little bit, and now he's just watching in the distance. But that's one of these things, it's do you stand and defend your kill and potentially lose your life, or do you drop it? And there's plenty of food around. There's definitely no shortage of prey at the moment, and just try and get something else. There's lots of zebra around, lots of wildebeest. I suspect that we might have a crossing a little bit later. There was a huge herd of zebra heading towards Maine, between Maine North and South, and that's what our plan for the rest of the morning is there was still a little bit of a way off, but they were heading straight in that direction. They were beelining for it. I'm hoping to also get my first crossing today. I think I've got a good feeling, and I think that I might be quite lucky, and maybe we'll see all these amazing things. Come on, Scar, pick up whatever you're eating and show it to us so that you can put my mind at ease. And I think that young boy at the back is going to keep his distance. I don't think he's going to come closer. Now, Brian, you're wondering if lions lose teeth when hunting, or do they grow them back? Sorry. Well, when they're young, they have milk teeth, and they lose those, and then they get their permanent teeth. I'll give you a very good example. The Charleston males down in the Sabi sand, I've actually spoken about them quite a bit. They're beautiful male lions, and the one has actually had one of his canines kicked out of his mouth, but it's still dangling there, so that will never return. So once they get their permanent teeth, their adult teeth, if they lose one, whether it's in a fight, if they lose one by taking down an animal of some sort, that's it, unfortunately. It's not uncommon to see lions with chipped teeth. It's actually very common. If you look at Nsuku, one of the Birmingham boys, he's got a chipped tooth, in fact. And I think some of the Angama lionesses, one of them has a chipped tooth too, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, it's not uncommon. We even see it with leopards too. It's just one of those things, and they can survive without it. Look at that Charleston male, for example. He's had that for almost 2 years now. No problem. Canine dangling out of his mouth, and he's still able to take on animals such as buffalo all by himself. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer and see what happens. I'm going to send you across to South Africa with Byron to see what he's up to and if he's got any stories to tell you.
Now, I don't have any good news, unfortunately. Been looking around, no sign of a leopard anywhere. Not sure. Apparently a vehicle got a glimpse of a leopard and it ran from them, and that was the sighting they had. But I don't know. Yeah, what do you say? I'm going to try my best to just have a look around this area very, very carefully. Maybe we have some luck. Maybe our patience pays off. So I'm going to check very carefully, but I don't see any sign of any vehicle tracks around here or leopard tracks, so I'm not sure. It's a little frustrating, but it's okay. We'll still try. Like I said, maybe we get lucky and we find this leopard. Maybe check down towards the dam. There's some thick drainage lines down there. Maybe the leopard chose to move in that direction. And I just find it's funny how the leopard can just disappear. No one really knows which direction it went. It's a bit strange, especially if they saw it. Now, Snazzy, you were saying you hope it's Shadow and Cub. I don't think, Snazzy, Shadow's territory comes this far east. I'm not sure. I think because Tundi is predominantly in this area, I don't think we would see Shadow this far east with her young cub. And also apparently it was one leopard, so I don't think it would have been Shadow and cub. I'd love to see them too. I must be honest, I'd love to see Shadow. I've only seen her once, and that was that sighting the other day. We had Shadow and a youngster. Hold on a second. I can hear Franklin alarm calling through here. Let's go and investigate there. It's not too far. You see, it's important to try and rely on all the sounds and clues in the bush. Sounded like a Franklin alarm calling. Let's have a look. Maybe it's just an upset Franklin.
Is that the tree as well, that Franklin?
The Franklin, is he?
Yeah.
There's definitely, well, these Franklin are alarm calling here. Let's have a look. You might be able to hear them. Just trying to look if there's any movement around here, any sign of a leopard. But no, I mean, the Franklins aren't always that reliable when it comes to alarm calling. Let's go have a look around the other side there. And this long grass would make it difficult to spot a leopard moving through here. Come on, Seb, surely we're going to have... There is a Franklin on the road. Let's just quickly show you. Brian, you said, what is a Franklin? It is a ground bird that moves around. You said you don't know. There we go. That's a crested Franklin, Brian. So Brian, you're possibly a new viewer. If you haven't seen one of the Franklins before, which is great. It's nice to show new viewers. And you can hear them. That's the sound these Franklins make. This one crossing the road. Here it comes. Here's another crested Franklin. There they go. Beautiful little birds. As they do alarm call if they see a predator. I think let's go have a look up here maybe. I didn't do it. You asked if these birds only alarm call at predators, or would they alarm call at humans too? Some of the birds do from time to time, and will alarm call at people, but it's predominantly predators, something they recognize. They would alarm call at. Now, there's a bit of a quarry here, sometimes used for building in the area. You never know. No, nothing here. Well, this is tricky, and I suppose if we don't get... I don't see anything. Sorry, I'm just listening to the radio quickly. Just want to see if anyone is still in this area, if they have had any sign. Hold on, let me just try to chat to this one guide. Mike for Byron. Mike, sorry to bother. Just want to check, did Andrew have another update? Okay, I'll try to get hold of him, thank you. Now, I'm going to try, I wonder, let me see if I can get hold of someone on this channel. Andrew for Byron. Morning, Andrew. Andrew, do you have an update on that leopard sighting? Copy, Andrew. Is that near the new Chitwa driveway or the old Chitwa driveway? Are you down towards the dam area? Sorry, you broke up there, Andrew. Go again, please. Oh dear, I've lost him now. Problem is, he's not entirely sure of the road name that he's on. So that doesn't help us very much, does it? Sounds like he's still got a leopard, so I can't hear him. He's not sure what the road is. Can be frustrating being a guide sometimes. Don't worry, I'm not going to give up, everyone. I'll try and get us a leopard sighting this morning. I just don't know which direction to go, that's the only thing. Let me try again, perhaps. Andrew, come back. No, I can't get him at all on the radio. Just trying to listen out for anything. Oh dear, well, this isn't very good news for us. Sometimes it's just best if you find your own leopard. We'll have a look around this area. Maybe we bump into them. But like I said, it's difficult if we don't know which area they're. Jeff, now leopards would relax up in these from time to time. They will and lie up in trees every now and then to rest. It's not that often, not as often as people think, Jeff, but they do climb up trees, and they will go lie down and rest. Especially these big marula trees that are around here, big branches, a bit easier for a leopard to balance and lie down. Sept, do you remember a road named Shinzele? He said he thinks that's a name, but I don't know.
Then you see that, like,
How far from the dam?
yeah, or by the end.
Hold on a second. Go ahead. Okay, copy. So confirm just past the old original Chitwa driveway. There was just a bit of confusion if it's the road that takes you down to the dam or the main driveway that takes you to the camp. Okay, copy, no problem. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you. I think it sounds like they're further east. It sounds like it, down in that direction. You know what? Why don't we go down to the dam so long? Go head down to the dam, see what we can see down there, and then maybe we have some luck and a leopard pops out around there. But it sounded like they weren't sure where that leopard was. Sounded like further east of where we are, so in that direction, the other side of the dam.